Final Moments welcomes you to another journey into the legacies left behind. Today isn't solely about names and headlines or dates on a calendar. It's about the final chapters of those who shaped our world. From journalists who redefined the truth to visionaries who fought for justice, each story is a reminder that life is fleeting, but impact is eternal. Before we begin, don't just be a spectator, join the Final Moments family. Like, subscribe, and ensure you never miss a story that matters, because remembering the past is how we shape the future. Let's begin. Number 1. Max Frankel. A boy in knickerbockers arrived in New York in 1940, a refugee from Nazi Germany with no English, but a mind sharpened by European literature, mathematics, and music. Decades later, that same boy, Max Frankel, would define American journalism as executive editor of the New York Times. Frankel's ascent through the ranks of the Times was relentless. A foreign correspondent fluent in German, Polish, and Yiddish, he covered the Cold War from Moscow, where his only Soviet acquaintances included Nikita Khrushchev and high-ranking Presidium officials. He detailed the persecution of Boris Pasternak-Nixon's kitchen debate in Moscow and the shifting power dynamics of the 20th century. Sent to Cuba in 1960, he reported Fidel Castro's full embrace of Soviet ideology before being expelled. His defining moment came in 1972. As the Times Washington bureau chief, he accompanied Nixon to China, crafting 24 in-depth reports in just 8 days. His coverage of the trip, filled with both political analysis and human observations, earned him the 1973 Pulitzer Prize for International Reporting. The Times had set the global standard for diplomatic journalism. By 1986, Frankel took command of the entire newsroom as executive editor. He pushed beyond the day's headlines, shifting the Times toward deeper analysis and interpretation. With the rise of 24-hour cable news, he understood raw reporting alone wasn't enough. Under his tenure, the paper expanded its metropolitan and sports coverage, introduced color printing, and increased diversity in its newsroom. Despite economic downturns slashing ad revenue by half, he refused to scale back reporting. Circulation still grew, and though he stepped down in 1994, 2 years before the Times launched its first website, his legacy shaped its transition into the digital era. He wrote that the Times should be a family newspaper in every sense, but his real achievement was making it a historical record of the world. Frankel left us on the 22nd of March 2025. Number 2, Jane Reed. When Jane Reed took over Woman's Own in 1970, she found a magazine that ran special supplements on cooking with flowers, without specifying which chrysanthemums were safe to eat. It was emblematic of an industry that had long underestimated its audience. Reed, who had started as a tea girl at Modern Woman magazine, had no patience for such frivolities. She transformed Woman's Own into one of the most influential women's magazines in the English-speaking world, championing serious issues and challenging societal norms. While Cosmopolitan celebrated women's sexual liberation, Reed focused on practical battles, tax reforms for working women, childcare support, and public health education. She published groundbreaking content on breast cancer self-examination and emergency childbirth. When her agony aunt, Claire Rayner, revealed that incest was the topic readers wrote about most, Reed turned it into a major investigation. It was like taking the lid off a boiling kettle, she later recalled. By the end of the decade, Woman's Own reached 2 million readers weekly, but Reed wasn't satisfied. A survey of 7,000 readers revealed that the magazine had unwittingly marginalized stay-at-home mothers. She responded with initiatives to combat their isolation, organizing holidays, Wimbledon trips, and Royal London tours, even taking the microphone herself. After stepping down as editor in 1979, Reed became IPC's first female board member before being recruited by media tycoon Eddie Shaw. Then came Rupert Murdoch. As News International's first corporate affairs director, she fought for the controversial merger of Sky Television and British satellite broadcasting, navigating regulatory hurdles in Brussels. British television is emerging from a long period of duopoly, she argued. That they should protest at the opening up of television is not surprising. The merger was approved in 1990, paving the way for the multi-channel television landscape we know today. Reed also pushed for ethical practices, promoting recycled paper use and making News International one of the UK's top 20 corporate donors. A woman of the left, she remained loyal to Murdoch but was never afraid to challenge him. After retiring in 2002, she sat on the board of Times Newspapers Limited and dedicated herself to art. Her Who's Who entry listed her interests as gossiping, eating, dieting, and arguing. It was a fitting summary of a life spent challenging convention and winning. Number 3, Frank Chopp. For 3 decades, Frank Chopp shaped Washington politics, not with grandstanding, but with relentless, meticulous work. A former community organizer turned Speaker of the Washington House, he championed affordable housing, healthcare, and workers' rights with the mindset of a builder rather than a politician. Raised in Bremerton, his father was a union electrician and his mother was a school cafeteria worker. That background made his priorities clear from the start. In high school, he led a protest against racial discrimination at the local Elks Club. At the University of Washington, he fought to preserve low-income housing, at one point even living in a geodesic dome on a South Lake Union parking lot to protest demolitions. Decades later, his convictions turned into legislation. He co-founded the Washington Housing Trust Fund, which has since provided over $1 billion for low-income housing. He ensured surplus public land was dedicated to affordable housing and passed one of the most expansive public health care options in the country, Cascade Care. When asked about his proudest moment, he didn't mention leadership or power, but rather mental health parity, a law that gave equal insurance coverage to those struggling with mental illness. But Chopp was not without controversy. He blocked legislation that would have helped keep the Sonics in Seattle, drawing ire from sports fans. Critics accused him of being too pragmatic, too willing to kill bills that didn't align with his long-term goals. Yet, even those who disagreed with him never questioned his effectiveness. Inslee called him one of the most effective legislative leaders in the nation. When Frank Chopp stepped down in 2019 after 20 years as Speaker, he didn't retire. He kept working, fighting for affordable housing and social programs until his final days. Number 4, Thomas Hoobler. Thomas Hoobler's name may not be widely recognized, but his work has been on the shelves of schools, libraries, and homes for decades. Alongside his wife, Dorothy Hoobler, he authored 103 books spanning historical biographies, young adult mysteries, and even a deep dive into presidential love letters. He passed away on February 22nd at 82. The Hoobler's literary career was built on rigorous research and compelling storytelling. Their American Family Album series, published by Oxford University Press, chronicled the immigrant experience in America through photographs, diaries, and newspaper clippings. These books won multiple awards, a testament to their ability to bring history to life for young readers. Their nonfiction titles tackled subjects that many wouldn't think to introduce to younger audiences. From World War I trench warfare to the life of Zhou Enlai, they trusted in the curiosity of their readers. Their historical mystery series, set in 18th century Japan and featuring a samurai detective, even earned an Edgar Award from the Mystery Writers of America. Beyond children's literature, the couple ventured into adult nonfiction with books like The Monsters Mary Shelley and the Curse of Frankenstein and The Crimes of Paris, a true story of murder, theft, and detection. In 2001, he appeared on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, winning $500,000. It wasn't just a payday, it was freedom, allowing them to write for adults without relying on multi-book contracts. Writing was a joint endeavor, though not always in the same room. Dorothy researched extensively. Thomas shaped the final prose. Sometimes I would do a very rough draft, and then he would write the final script of it, she recalled. Their partnership, both professional and personal, spanned over 50 years, defined by an unwavering dedication to storytelling. A prolific author, a meticulous researcher, and a craftsman of narrative, Thomas Hoobler leaves behind not just books, but a lasting impact on how history is told to generations of readers.